Hey everybody, this is a quick instructional tutorial on how to assemble the simple pumpkin. A lot of people wrote in saying, can you just give me a quick visual? And that's what we're gonna do here. So this is an example using a crochet version, but it's also the same instructions for a knit. You have your pumpkin base, the pattern is posted up. You're gonna need the yarn that you're going to attach it with. You're going to need the polyfill. You are going to need whatever tapestry needle or large scale, large size needle to sew it all together, and then whatever costume bits you need to complete it. Here we go. All right, step one. So the last instruction on the pumpkin base is to leave a long tail. And we're going to start by sewing up the sides to create the cylinder of the pumpkin. This is a color blocked work, so it's a lot easier to line up the edges. And we're going to take that tail and sew this seam together. All right, here we go. So we stitched it up along the edges. I kind of put bigger stitches in here so you guys could see exactly what I did. Honestly, this is not going to show when we get to the stuff and shape part, but that's what it looks like. Step two is we are going to start to create a pucker and cinch together the bottom edge of the pumpkin. So we need to seal one side so we can stuff it. I am just quickly weaving my way through each stitch here. And I'm going to do that all the way around, and then we'll pull it tight closed at the end. I'll do that and be right back. All right, so here we are. I went all the way around, and now what we need to do is close it up by just tying it off and cinching it shut. So we want to get this as tight as possible, and I'm going to tuck in my loose ends so I don't need to weave them in later. But the intention here is to close it up as firm as possible so we can stuff it. So there's side one. That's your bottom side. Okay, so now we fill. We just closed up the bottom. I just tucked in all the loose ends. You don't need to cut them off. Nobody's gonna see the inside of this. But stuff it so that you can start to see the shape, the base of the pumpkin start to round out. We don't wanna overstuff it because we do still need to shape the puckers that will make it look like a pumpkin around the the edges, the ridges within the pumpkin. So you wanna make sure it's stuffed enough to give it that shape, but not too stuffed that then you won't be able to shape it. So try to get it in there evenly distributed. This looks about right. So we're gonna cinch the top. That looks good to me. So the next step, and what you want to do, is grab a piece of yarn that's pretty long. This, I'd say, is about 3 feet. The reason you want to do that is we're going to use the same thread to weave through the pumpkin to shape the edges. So similar to the bottom of the pumpkin, and I'm starting at the same seam, we're going to weave along the top to be able to cinch it closed. Same process, it's just now stuffed. All right, let's cinch it closed. I went all the way around. This has also got to be pretty tight, so make sure you leave yourself enough yarn on either side so that you have a good grip. I'll close it up, make sure all the stuffing's in there. That looks good. Okay, so we kind of have like a ball thing happening here. And this is how the pumpkin kind of takes its shape, its life. What you want to do is now, since you have all of this length on that piece of yarn that you used to cinch the top, you want to go all the way through the pumpkin until you can carefully grab it on the other side. So pull it through and now start creating the ridges. I'm going to go over that seam we created. Honestly, you're not going to be able to see it, so it's all good. So up through the bottom, back into the top. Let's see if we can go. Grab it again. You're gonna start to like yank on some stuffing. That's totally fine. But here's where you start to pucker it like that. And I'll find where you want to place it. Okay, that looks good for the first one. We'll go through again, pulling it around to the side. Let's put this one just a few inches over. Again, we'll pull on it. Okay, that looks good. We'll move over. Just need to make sure you're always coming up through the middle. So place that pucker where you want it to land and then tighten it. So I'm doing them like 3 to 4 inches apart, and I want to have 5 ridges in here. So we've done 3. Let's do 2 more. 4, and the last one, 5. And you can always adjust this after too. They're easy enough to move around. All right, that looks pretty good. So what we have here is now our shaped pumpkin. You can finesse it to make sure it looks the way you want it to, so these can move over. But that is the cheater way to get a shaped pumpkin together. Now we accessorize this little guy. We add some eyes, we add some costumes, but that's pretty much how you get it done.